Hello and welcome back to the Football Commentaries live stream. It is the beginning of the FA Cup third round as Crystal Palace take on Everton at Selhurst Park, one of 10 FA Cup games this weekend, which will be played in London. Crystal Palace come into this game after their 3-1 home win at the weekend to Brentford, which ended a run of 8 games without a win. The win at the weekend for the Eagles came through a brace from Elise, who's missing tonight, and a goal from Abera Ezer. For the Toffees, it is 4 losses in a row in all competitions, as their League Cup defeat in the quarter-finals has been followed by 3 straight losses in the league, as Sean Dyche's team fall back towards the relegation zone as they currently sit in 17th after that 10-point deduction. Both teams faced third-round exits last season in the FA Cup, but that will change this time, as we will have a winner in this tie, but it could be through a replay, as if this is a draw tonight, it will go to a second game at Goodison Park. Palace have never won the competition, but have reached the final twice, both ending in a defeat to Manchester United, with the most recent final coming back in 2016. Everton are 5-time winners, with the last time they won it was in 1995 with a Paul Rideout winner in the 30th minute, as they beat Manchester United by 1-0. Everton won here as recently as mid-November in a 3-2 victory in the Premier League, but were beaten here at Selhurst Park in the FA Cup quarter-finals back in the 2021-2022 season when they were managed under Frank Lampard. So for the 60th game in the history of these two teams playing one another, which side will progress to the fourth round of the FA Cup? Like I say, it could be today, one team goes through, it could be another day, because if it is a draw and it's all level, it will be a replay. Replays aren't played from the quarter-final stage onwards. I believe a rule that was brought in, I think 2018 that rule was brought in, so it is replays up until the quarter-final stage. So tonight can end a draw, but again, we could get a winner. Both sides are in the best of forms. Like I say, Everton are 4 straight defeats at the minute in all competitions. Palace did win their last game, but before that they went 0 wins in 8. So there's definitely both teams who are trying to just guide themselves back into a little bit of form. Everton were in great form. Everton had won 4 games in a row against Forest, Newcastle, Chelsea and Burnley before this run of 4 defeats in all competitions, which started with that League Cup quarter-final exit and then 3 defeats in a row in the league, which have come against Spurs, Manchester City and Wolves. Not, 3 teams that are respectable to lose against, because we know how good Spurs can be at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Apparently Everton were well within that game anyway. Manchester City are Manchester City, and Wolves at Molineux, they can be a difficult side. Obviously Wolves have beaten the likes of City and Spurs at Molineux, so it's not like they've been beaten by teams that you'd expect them to win. Obviously Wolves, you might expect them to go there and get a point at least, but losses to Spurs and Manchester City are going to be expected for Everton this season usually. But they've got a bit of a distraction tonight in the FA Cup. Third round exit last season for Everton, which came against Manchester United at Old Trafford. But before that, it was back-to-back quarter-finals for them. So, and that quarter-final stage they got to in the 21-22 season was an exit to Crystal Palace, who then went on to the semi-finals, but were beaten by Chelsea. So, very recent history between these two fixtures, not just in the league, but also playing each other in the quarter-final of the FA Cup a couple of seasons ago. And in fact, the first 5 meetings between Palace and Everton were in the FA Cup. Palace won 1, there was a draw in there, which obviously was then, they had a replay, and Everton have won 3, and those 5 games in the FA Cup were played from 1907 to 1931, so a lot of history going back to the start of these two playing each other, and also a lot of history in the recent fixtures between these two, obviously playing each other in the FA Cup a couple of seasons ago, playing each other in November at Selhurst Park as well. So there's a lot of angles where this game can, a lot of stories can be created. Can Everton continue their good run at Selhurst Park this season? And apparently it has been torrential rain for like 5 hours, they said. It has been non-stop heavy raining, and the pitch, obviously, with it being the Premier League, they've been able to soak it all up, and the pitch is still in fantastic condition, which is good to see. Obviously, if this was a non-league ground or a lower league ground, it might have been waterlogged and the game might have been off, but because it's the Premier League and the pitches are so high quality these days, there was no issue with the game going ahead and being played. We'll go through both teams now in a little bit more detail. You can see them on screen. Hi mate, you done loads of games over Christmas, New Year. Can't keep with it. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, just doing as many as possible. Need to do as many as possible. Try and get that watched hours up, and all that stuff. So yeah, and like it's literally watching football and commentating. It's not something that is difficult. Say really, I get full enjoyment. So doing them more often than not is better for me. I just love it. It's just very exciting. Over this Christmas period as well, I found actually that games haven't been boring. That's wrong. But there's been a lot of games where it's been very attack versus defence, and I think it's just the fact that so many games that are being played, like so many teams. Well, all the teams are playing so many games. It's almost becoming a little bit too much for some of them. So I found a lot of the games recently have been a little bit slower. A lot of the time, one team's letting one team have the ball, and the other one's just sitting back and not. Because it's a heavy period. You play so many games. So hopefully we're getting towards the back end now of the heavy schedule. We'll go through both teams now. We'll start with the Crystal Palace team, and Dean Henderson in goal. Yet to keep a clean sheet so far in the Premier League since he's been into the team after Sam Johnston's injury for Crystal Palace. Back four of Nathaniel Klein, Joachim Anderson, captain Matt Gay, and left back Tyreek Mitchell, who makes his 125th Crystal Palace appearance. Two holding midfielders of Jefferson Lerma, and the other one has been Chris Richards, the American who joined last summer. This is his first ever FA Cup appearance. It's a first start for Mateus França, a Brazilian that was joined from Flamengo back in the summer for £17 million. And then on the left is going to be Jeffrey Schlupp, and behind the striker is Ebere Eze, and then leading the line up front is Jean-Philippe Mateta. 2 goals against Liverpool and Manchester City so far this season, 5 in all competitions after a hat-trick in the League Cup against Plymouth. And for Everton, change of goalkeeper. Jordan Pickford, who's played every single game so far this season for Everton, drops to the bench. João Virginia comes in, former Arsenal goalkeeper. He's been at the club now, coming into his 7th year. Captain right back Seamus Coleman, he's in to play his 20th game against Crystal Palace. On the left hand side is going to be Vitaly Mikalenko at left back. He's already scored at this ground this season in the 3-2 win. 2 centre backs of James Tarkowski and Jared Branthwaite. 2 midfielders, they're going to be playing the central midfield roles, and that is Amadou Onana, who is making his 56th Everton appearance, and he could be making his 50th Premier League appearance in his next game in the Premier League, and he'll play alongside James Garner. 3 behind the striker on the right is going to be Jack Harrison, who's on loan from Leeds. On the left is Arnaut Danjuma, who's on loan from Villarreal, and it's Dwight McNeil. And behind the striker, who's making his 60th appearance for the Toffees tonight, and leading the line. Up front is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He has got 50 Premier League goals, 64 altogether for Everton. He's got 5 in 12 against Crystal Palace. Can he score tonight? We'll have to wait and see. It'll be Everton's kickers off kicking left to right. It'll be Palace kicking right to left for this first half. Referee tonight is Chris Kavanagh, the 38-year-old. We're waiting for his whistle, and we'll be getting underway in this FA Cup third round fixture between these 2 Premier League sides who are in the bottom half of the table. But they will have their sights set for an FA Cup run if possible, as Crystal Palace head the ball away from the Everton kick-off through Jefferson Lerma, and it will be Everton on the ball with a throw-in on this near side through their captain Seamus Coleman, who is entering his 14th year at the club. Sorry, his 15th year at the club. Sorry, he joined in January 2009 from Sligo Rovers. Seamus Coleman, absolute club legend at Everton, the Irishman. As midway inside the Everton half, it's Tarkowski. Big switch out to the left-hand side into the Palace half, brought down by Danjuma. He goes back into his own half here to left-back Mikalenko. And now it's with Amadou Onana, the Belgian holding midfielder, who gets it across to the right side to Coleman on halfway. Down the line here to McNeil. You completes a 1-2 of Onana, still on the halfway line. O'Neill goes back into Tarkowski, obviously wants both Burnley players, McNeil and Tarkowski's. Another switch out to the left by Tarkowski's brought down by Danjuma, who plays it simple, goes back into to Garner, inside to Onana, ball through, looking for the runner Harrison, Can't quite find him on the edge of the 18-yard box. It rolls through for a goal kick for Palace. Not a bad idea there from Amadou Onana, who you may have seen online recently get a little bit of a stick for his penalty that he missed in Everton's League Cup quarter-final defeat at home to Fulham on penalties. He missed a penalty that would have sent them through to the semi-finals, but Onana missed his, and then they went on to be knocked out in the end, Everton, of the League Cup. As Coleman just nicks it away from Schlupp down the Palace left. It's going to be a throw-in for Crystal Palace, midway side of their own half on the near side. It'll be their left-back number 3, Tyreek Mitchell, to take. As mentioned before, kick-off. 125 appearances now for the 24-year-old. At left-back for Palace. Got the one goal so far this season. That came in early November. A 94th minute goal against Burnley. As they have another throw-in here on the halfway line. Two and a half minutes in, neither goalkeeper yet to be tested. As Mitchell throws it to Lerma, returns it to Mitchell on halfway, cleared down the line. Comes off Onana. Be another throw in here for Tyreek Mitchell, Palace's number 3. It's their first cup game at home this season for Crystal Palace. Their 2 League Cup games were both away from home against Plymouth and Manchester United. As Tarkowski heads it straight to Lerma, plays it forward to Mateta, lifts it off to his right towards Schlupp, who shoots on the edge of the box, and it's well held by João Virginia. In the Everton goal, making his first appearance of the season, João Virginia. And it rolls out to the left-hand half. Branthwaite on the edge of the 18-yard box. Goes long to the right-hand side. Header won by Gay on Calvert-Lewin. Helped on by Schlupp on the left-hand side. No one's there to chase it. Brought down by Tarkowski. Goes out to the right to Coleman. Back into Tarkowski again in his defensive third. Not being closed down here, Tarkowski, because back into Coleman, who lifts the ball over the top. Calvert-Lewin will chase it. Henderson comes out of his box to see it behind for a goal kick there. Just a little bit too much on it there from Coleman. Aiming for Calvert-Lewin. He's not scored in his last 9 games that he's played in the Premier League, Calvert-Lewin. A little bit of a goal drought at the minute for Everton's number 9. But as I mentioned, he's got a great record against Palace, 5-12. Won at Selhurst Park. Came back in September 2020. Is Gay clears it long for Palace up to the halfway line towards Mateta. Loses out to Tarkowski. His header forward, volleyed back forward by Gay. Lerma loses out to Onana, seen as a fair challenge by the referee. And it's back in the centre circle here with Everton. Garner, 4 minutes played. We've had 1 shot on goal from Schlupp. It was going wide, but it was still saved by Virginia, the Everton goalkeeper. And it's out with Arnaut Danjuma. He likes to run at plays. He's going to run at Klein here on the outside. Final third, crosses, just goes behind McNeil. Goes through to Coleman. Still alive here for the away side. It's gone to his left to Garner. All Palace players currently behind the ball, bar Mateta, the Palace striker. 3-1 Palace. I'm going to go 2-1 Everton. I'm going to go for something different. Go for a away win. 2-1 Everton. As Sean Dyche for Everton has a decent record against Crystal Palace. It's his 20th game managing against Crystal Palace. He's won 8, lost 7. But he is unbeaten against Crystal Palace, Sean Dyche. In his last 7 games, he's won 4 and drawn 3. So he does usually like facing Palace in recent times, Sean Dyche. As Everton still have the ball. They're inside their own half with midfielder Onana. Forward here into Garner. Looks in behind for Calvert-Lewin. Doesn't quite make the run, so Gay will get there first. And he goes back to Dean Henderson in the 6-yard area. Calvert-Lewin will close him down, but he will send it away with a ball out to the Palace right. Chested down here by França. Keeping it away from Mikalenko and goes inside to Richards. Then forward to Eze on halfway. Well played here by Crystal Palace. And they'll just keep possession in their own half here with Joachim Andersen, the Danish centre-half. Good few little touches there by Matheus França, the new Brazilian on the block at Crystal Palace. First start for the club, making his 6th appearance. He was actually tracked by Chelsea and Newcastle, Matheus França, the Palace right-winger. So Palace have done well to get his services as Schlupp's ball forward towards Mateta on the edge of the box. He's cleared by Branthwaite, helped forward by Garner into the Palace half, but only as far as Gay, the Crystal Palace captain, who will go across to his centre-back partner, Joachim Andersen. He goes forward to Eze, back heel into the path of Mateta, who can't quite get there ahead of Tarkowski, who heads it back to his goalkeeper, Virginia, who quickly kicks out of his hands. It's a high one. It's over the top of Anderson's head. Calvert-Lewin will chase it towards the corner flag on the far side. Gets there, keeps it in, plays it backwards towards Danjuma. Anderson gets there first, deflects off Danjuma into Calvert-Lewin, who squares it in the box. It's controlled away by Richards, but I think the flag's gone up there on Calvert-Lewin as the clearance from Anderson deflected off Danjuma straight into the path of Calvert-Lewin, who was still coming back from an offside position. So it'll be a free kick for Crystal Palace in their right back area, and they've already worked it to the left centre half Mark Gay in the Crystal Palace box. 2 FA Cup goals for Mark Gay in his career, both at home. So he usually likes scoring in a home fixture in the FA Cup. Mark Gay, who's yet to score so far this season. He got the one in the Premier League last season in a 5-1 win away at Leeds in April. As Mitchell throws it down the line for Palace, up to Mateta, who's just drifted out to the left-hand side. Schlupp pokes it forward, look for Eze, just a little bit too far ahead of him, and it could be picked up by Branthwaite in the Everton half, and he was back into his 18-yard area to goalkeeper João Virginia, who, with his right foot, clips out to the right-hand side over the head of McNeil, and Mitchell throwing for Palace on the near side. Just put too much on that there, Virginia, the goalkeeper, who's in tonight for Jordan Pickford, who very rarely misses a game for Everton. As Mateta brings down the throw-in beautifully and gets beyond Tarkowski, charges down the left wing. Mateta, he's got Schlupp ahead of him, pokes it to him in the box. He's been forced out of the area after being closed down and tackled by Garner. Great midfield play from the Everton number 37. McNeil switches it out to the left towards Danjuma. Too far hit, too far over him. Picked up by Nathaniel Klein for Palace, who's been tripped there. And that'll be a free kick for Crystal Palace on the halfway line. Just a little bit too aggressive there by Arnaut Danjuma, who's had a torrid time, really, Everton. Arnaut Danjuma, on loan from Villarreal. This is his first start since... Well, he's not had a start in the Premier League since the 2nd of September against Sheffield United. He's not had any starts in the Premier League in the last 15 games for the Dutch winger, who did reach the quarterfinals with Bournemouth back in the 2020-2021 season, beaten by Southampton that day. As Anderson, from this free kick on the halfway on the right-hand side, switches out to the left, deep into the Everton half, chested down by Tyreek Mitchell. Lerma takes over, heavy touch down the left channel. Coleman will get there first, but can't clear it off of a Crystal Palace player, and it goes straight out for a throw-in for Palace in the final third. Throws it back here to Mitchell. It goes back to Gay, and then across to the halfway line, and that is Anderson, the centre-half. Goes to his right to Nathaniel Klein, who in 5 Merseyside derbies, Klein was never beaten as a Liverpool player against Everton. As França, ball down the line for Eze, chases it with Onana, keeps it in right on that corner flag on the far side, tries to turn away from the Belgian, can't do so, and then pulls down Amadou Onana, and that'll be a free kick for Everton right next to the corner flag on the far side. Couldn't quite get around the big Belgian there, Eze, because he is quite the player, Amadou Onana, for height. He's got a build of 6'4", the Belgian central midfielder, the 22-year-old. Under 10 minutes in, still 0-0. Free kick taken for Everton. It's headed away by Gay, midway side zone half, up to the halfway line to Schlupp, who goes down under the challenge of Coleman, seen as a fair one by the referee. And it's Everton on the ball in the Palace half. Out to left back, Mikalenko. Down the line for Harrison. Danjuma's making a run further down the line. He'll feed it to him. He's one-on-one with Richards here. Danjuma goes on the outside towards the byline. Kept in, low cross. It's blocked away at the near post by Anderson. Falls through for Mikalenko. Heads it forward for Harrison. Crosses deep towards the far post. Controlled by McNeil. Sends him away from goal. He's outside the area. Squares it to his left to Coleman. Back to McNeil here. Being closed down by Tyreek Mitchell. Goes inside to Onana, who he's looking to dribble down the right-hand side himself. He's ended up going backwards to Tarkowski, who goes across to Branthwaite on the halfway line. It's well kept for Everton, keeping the possession, as they're trying the opposite flank now with Danjuma, who goes back to Branthwaite, the centre-half. It's now with number 6, James Tarkowski, who is playing his 22nd FA Cup game. Tarkowski is yet to score in the competition as a ball forward towards Calvert-Lewin. He's been headed backwards by Gay to his goalkeeper Henderson, who can collect with both arms. High ball from Tarkowski on halfway, looking for Calvert-Lewin. Tried to meet it, but it came off the head of Anderson, then the head of Gay, and then into Dean Henderson. As it does seem like the rain is still pouring at Selhurst Park. Sean Dyche looks absolutely soaking. The 52-year-old, retired back in 2007. Sean Dyche was once a centre-half and a can imagine the way he played as a footballer, Sean Dyche, but he was a very aggressive centre-half, not one you'd like to face. As Palace play from the back, Eze linking it up with Richards, forward to the halfway line to Mateta, flicks it behind him here to Lerma, who just about shifts it away from Harrison, then goes back to Gay, back forward to Lerma, to the left to Eze. It's a free kick for Palace off the ball. Lerma just pulled down by Onana. New sign in the summer, Jefferson Lerma, from Bournemouth, where he spent 5 seasons at Bournemouth, making 184 appearances. A few of those seasons were down in the Championship, but he's moved on to Palace this summer. As Eze takes on Onana, goes down under the challenge. It's seen as a dive. Yellow card for Ibera Eze. Trying to buy the free kick there. Eze, and he went down a bit too easily for the referee, and Chris Kavanagh has booked him. Let's have a look. Try to go past Onana. His arm came out, but Eze did go down far too easily. Just throws himself to the ground, and if you want to cut it out, booking them is the best thing to do. So I think the referee's done the right thing there. He's just tried to buy the free kick and go down after the tiniest bit of contact. So he's still 0-0. Palace have had the one attempt that was saved but was going off target. Everton haven't had a shot yet, as we're 13 minutes in. But it has been a pretty even game as we're back in possession. Klein loses out here. Calvert-Lewin back to Danjuma in the final third. Left wing position. Byline. Cross again. Dealt with at the near post by Anderson. His header goes to Onana, the Belgian midfielder. Back to the halfway line to Tarkowski. Sends it into the box looking for Garner, who's chasing it, but it's overhit by the Everton centre-half. Now be a goal kick for Crystal Palace, who have made 5 changes from the last time these two teams met, which was back in November. Johnston's missing out of the squad, so is Ward. Edwards back on the bench tonight, who started that one. Is Gay at left centre-half, switches out to the right-back Klein. Brings it down nicely in the Palace defensive third. Clears it up the field with his left foot, headed forward by Garner. Headed to the right by Harrison to Onana. Now with McNeil, looking for the return pass to Onana, cut out by Eze. It's now with left back Mitchell. Forward it goes, it's a high one up towards Mateta. Loses out to Branthwaite. Picked up in the midfield by Onana. Tarkowski goes back to the goalkeeper, Virginia, on the edge of the 18-yard box. And it's Everton on the ball. Branthwaite, switch out to the right. Headed away by Mitchell. Headed backwards by Schlupp to Gay. Clears it with his right foot down the Palace left, runs out of pitch. Thrown for Everton inside their own half. Not quite got going either side yet, as Everton have got it with their goalkeeper in his 18-yard area. And if Luton win their game in hand in the Premier League, then Everton would slip back into the relegation zone. It is obviously frustrating for Everton because, they should be on 26 points, but they're on 16 and they're a position away from the relegation zone after they have lost 10 of their first 20 Premier League games. Everton, with 4 of them coming away from home against Villa, Liverpool, Spurs and Wolves. As Mateta gives it away for Palace. It's now midway inside the Everton half with central midfielder Garner. Goes to the left-back Mikalenko. It's a high ball. It's over the top. Danjuma chases. Anderson gets there first. Heads it away towards Klein, but it's picked up by Danjuma, who's able to work a ball in the box. Headed away at the near post by Klein. It's now Lerma on the edge. Plays it to Anderson, who's took up a right-back position here. The Danish centre-half, who will dribble forward with the ball here. The former Fulham loanee. Then forward it goes. Can't get it to Mateta. And it'll run straight through to the Everton goalkeeper. As after this, Everton have got Aston Villa at home, then Fulham away, and then Spurs at home as Harrison on halfway gives it to França. The Brazilian for Palace gives it straight to Onana. It's now back to Everton on their left-hand side here with number 37, James Garner. Who was never lost in against Crystal Palace, the Everton number 37. As it's Danjuma in the left wing position, facing his own goal. So goes back into Garner. Switch out to the right. It's a nice one. It's straight onto the right foot of Coleman, who's one-on-one with Mitchell. Goes to his left to McNeil. In the final third here for Everton. McNeil crosses. It deflects. It's headed at the edge of the box by Richards. It drops to Onana, who's battling with Eze, who loses out to Coleman eventually. Coleman almost in the striker position, lays it off for Calvert-Lewin, goes on once more to Danjuma, in the box, on the angle he shoots, and he hits the side netting via a deflection. And that'll be a corner for Everton. It's their first shot of the game. And it is from Arnaut Danjuma. It was well worked there. Ezer lost it, picked up by Coleman, who played it to Calvert-Lewin. He got away from Anderson, and Danjuma was free on the left-hand side of the box. Fed it to the former Bournemouth winger, and with his left foot he shot off Richards and behind to the side netting for a corner. And it's the first corner of the game. It's gone short here to McNeil. Goes back to Garner, the original taker. To Mikalenko on the edge of the box. With his left foot, delivers the ball to the far post. It comes off the head of Schlupp, and he'll go behind for a throw for Everton on this near side. In the final third still, so they're high up the pitch here. Danjuma throws it quickly to Harrison on his left foot. Curls an in-swinger, volleyed away by Gay. Schlupp will chase it, headed forward by Coleman, flicked on by Harrison towards Danjuma, who will get there ahead of Mitchell. Harrison is overlapping, but it's still here with Danjuma, who shimmies away from Schlupp. Penny square past to McNeil's, cut out by Richards. Ezer forward to Mateta. Sliding tackle means Tarkowski can clear, but it comes straight back at Everton towards Mateta. Can't make it stick. Won back by Everton with Garner. It's the away side on the ball. Midway side of their own half here with number 32, Jared Branthwaite. Their 21-year-old centre-half who made his debut in the FA Cup at the age of 17 years old and 4 months for Carlisle, the team he came through, the place he was born. Signed for £1 million 4 years ago from Carlisle, Jared Branthwaite for Everton. As he plays it to left-back Mikalenko. Returns it to Branthwaite, who spent last season on loan at PSV in the Netherlands, where he won the Dutch Cup and Super Cup. So got a bit of silverware under his belt, the current England under-21 international. As it's Everton on the halfway line with Amadou Onana. Lerma's coming to press. Goes back to Garner. Switches out to the right-hand side again. It's a great ball. Brought down by Coleman. Crossed by Coleman. He miscues it. Sends it flying over the crossbar. Can only apologise. The idea was right. The touch was great. But the cross was just a little bit rushed as he was being closed down by Tyreek Mitchell. Yeah, good control straight into the path. And then just can't quite get the cross right towards Calvert-Lewin at the far post. It remains 0-0. One shot apiece. Still 0-0. As both sides would like a run in the FA Cup, I would presume. As it does look like both teams will more than likely survive this season. So a cup run would be nice to have on the side. As Henderson's goal kick is headed away by Branthwaite, flicked on by Danjuma on the halfway line. It falls to Harrison. He's charging forward, plays it through for Danjuma in the box. He's got time to shoot, and it's saved by Dean Henderson. He tips it onto the roof of the net. That's a fantastic save. Danjuma coming ever so close for his third Everton goal. He was the one who won the flick on for Harrison, who then was running at Gay, played it through the gap between Gay and Klein for Danjuma, who chased onto the ball, and as he entered the box on the left-hand side, he took the shot on with his left foot, lifted it towards the near post, top corner, but it was well tipped over by Henderson, and it remains 0-0. That's the biggest chance of the game. It's come 20 minutes in through Arnaut Danjuma. Corners and in-swinger, near post by McNeil, headed behind for another corner by Mateta. Needed to meet it there, the big French striker, and he did. Danjuma has looked very lively for Everton on that left wing position. He had a shot that was deflected onto the side netting just moments before, and then he's also just had that shot saved by Henderson. So I wonder why he struggled for starts, because he's looked dangerous. McNeil again, another in-swinger, deeper this time, into the hands of Henderson, who's he just about spills it, but then recollects as he's being pressured there by Tarkowski. Nearly had a big mess up there, Henderson. Just fell out of his hands. Obviously, there's a lot of rain there, so his gloves might be a little bit slippy, but he was able to latch onto the ball quickly. Palace build from the back edge of the 18-yard box. It's with Mark Gay. As Palace have only won 2 home games so far this season, against Wolves in September, then in their last game against Brentford, which was a 3-1 win coming into this game, as Schlupp heads on towards Mateta. Got there first, Tarkowski plays it back to the Everton goalkeeper, Virginia. Being slowly closed down here by Mateta, but he clears it with his left foot, the goalkeeper. Can't find Calvert-Lewin, nodded down by Klein for Richards. Goes back into Joachim Andersen midway inside the Palace half. It's now Gay. He's got Harrison closing him down, but he's able to move it to left back Mitchell. Forward for Schlupp, touch out of play. Throwing for Everton on the near side, just inside the Palace half there through Seamus Coleman, who throws it into Onana. It goes back to Tarkowski, who turns forward. Got a bit of time on the ball here. Lifts it deep into the Palace half. Calvert-Lewin will get there. Touch sticks this time, but he's been flagged offside by the assistant referee on the near side. A bit of confusion from Calvert-Lewin. Oh, he timed that right. He's well onside. Poor decision from the assistant referee. I'm sure he's onside as that ball's been played. A little bit unfortunate there, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who has got the 5 goals against Crystal Palace, as mentioned. He's got the 4 so far this season in all competitions. But it was a bit of a dismal defeat at Wolves in their last game for Everton. Didn't have a shot on target. Lost 3-0. Goals from Kilman, Cunha and Dawson. McNeil chases his ball. Gay will get there and he will back heel it forward away from McNeil and out to the left to Eze, who's got Onana following him, but he plays it back to Gay, then returns it to Eze. Good bit of play in the defensive third there for Palace to get out of danger. Then Eze out to the right to Klein on halfway. Forward to França. Drives on the inside, away from Mikalenko. França still running to the edge of the box. He's been brought down by a strong challenge from Tarkowski, which is seen as a free kick from the referee. Tarkowski looks bemused. Kavanagh gives it. Good run in there from Mateus França. The new signing from Flamengo. Running inside. And that is a welcome to England challenge, that from James Tarkowski. The ball goes away from Tarkowski and he makes sure he gets the man anyway. Yeah, it gets nowhere near the ball, Tarkowski, as it was touched away from him by França. And that is a definite free kick. Good decision from the referee, Chris Kavanagh. As on the edge, it is right outside the area, by the way, so it's around 19 yards out. It's quite central, really, maybe just slightly to the right, so you would maybe fancy a left footer, but when you've got a Bere Eze on the pitch, then you might want to go for his right foot instead, and that's what it's going to be. He's the only man stood over it. Can he score for Crystal Palace? It would be his first ever FA Cup goal. He's not scored in any of his previous 12 in this competition. 6 games for Palace and 6 for QPR, his former club. Can he get his first goal now? Eze from the free kick. It's a 6-man Everton wall. Very tall. And he slams that over the crossbar. He's definitely hit better. That's a shocker from Eze. Hodgson's not happy. That is awful. He goes to the keeper's side and I don't know what he's done to send that so far over the crossbar. Obviously he's got under it. But there's getting under it and there's getting under it like that. That was poor. I was hoping for better there from Eze. I was at least expecting him to get on target. I was giving him the big one there, saying now he hasn't scored in the FA Cup and he's about to get his first FA Cup goal, and no, he sent it into about row Z. So still 0-0, 25 minutes played. Everton have definitely been the closest to the goal. Danjuma forcing a top save out of Henderson. As it is Everton on the ball on the halfway line with Branthwaite being closed down by França. Garner out to the left to Mikalenko, who will drive forward from left back, goes for an early cross into the area, looking for McNeil, header away by Mitchell to the edge of the area, nodded down by Eze. Klein will get there ahead of Mikalenko. Klein will attempt to clear, he will clear it. Only as far as Danjuma, who gets there ahead of França, gets away from França. Danjuma running away from Klein, gets the cross deflected, another corner. Very surprised from this opening 25 minutes that Arnaut Danjuma for Everton doesn't start more often. I know they've got McNeil and Harrison on the wings usually, and they've normally got Decore in behind Calvert-Lewin, but Decore's injured at the minute, so that means they've put Harrison more centrally and they've moved Danjuma out wide. But he's been really positive this opening 25 minutes. Garner's ball goes through and it's had to be cleared away by Henderson's feet and hooked away by Eze, straight to França, who can't get away from Garner. He's been fouled again, the Brazilian. And that'll be a free kick. Garner put the corner in then. It was a right-footed in-swinger. And I think it was missed at the near post by a Palace player. Yeah, França missed it at the near post. It went right through. And if Henderson wasn't there, that's going in. França missed it, and Dean Henderson was just about able to flick out a right foot at the near post to stop that going in. That's very close from James Garner. I don't think he meant that to go through as a shot, but that's what he went into as at the end. And that's two big chances for Everton, both well saved by Henderson. That's really good reactions from the former Manchester United goalkeeper. As Palace take this free kick up towards Schlupp on the edge of the 18-yard box, comes at the back of the head of Coleman, but before it goes for a corner, the goalkeeper can come and collect to avoid that. And there'll be Everton back in possession. Coming up to a year in charge now. Sean Dyche was appointed last January in 2023. This is his 43rd game. At the minute, as Everton lose it through McNeil, well won back by Richards. Eze can't get away from Garner, but the loose ball drops to Lerma. Back to Eze, midway side his own half. Turns away from McNeil. It goes back to the halfway line to Anderson. And it is Palace in possession in the Everton half with Richards. Goes back to Anderson as he's being closed down by Calvert-Lewin. It's now left back Mitchell, about 5 yards inside the Everton half. Goes down the line here for Schlupp. Gets away from Coleman, finds Lerma. It's now Chris Richards again, the American. Usually a centre-half, Chris Richards, but he's been recently transformed into a central midfielder by Roy Hodgson. Switched out to the left by Mitchell, just about to keep it in with his head, but the header goes to Coleman instead of Schlupp. His ball forward by Garner. Comes off Richards last, and that'll be a throw-in for the away side, just inside the Palace half. He spent time at Bayern Munich, Chris Richards. 4 years. Joined from Dallas, where he spent actually a year and a half at Hoffenheim, so a lot of his time at Bayern Munich was on loan with Hoffenheim. As it is great away support tonight from Everton. 10-hour round trip it could be on the roads through coaches and everything like that. So it is a fantastic trip on a Thursday night as well in the FA Cup third round when it's on TV. Fantastic dedication as Onana tackles Schlupp, wins the ball, but he also catches Schlupp there, but the referee sees it as a fair challenge. Palace build down the right with França just inside their own half. He goes back to Klein. To his left to Richards. He's got Harrison on his back, but he turns away from Jack Harrison and plays it across to Gay. Good midfield play there from Richards, and it's now with the left back in the left back area with Lerma. Into the left back Mitchell. Back inside to the right to Lerma. Midway side the Everton half. He switches out to the right to França, who controls it really well with his chest. He's one-on-one with Mikalenko. Mateusz França tries to go on the outside of Mikalenko. Shows him too much the ball and he sees it behind for a goal kick. Good defending there by Vitaly Mikalenko, who's making his 70th appearance for Everton, the Ukrainian fullback. But it's a big fee signed from Palace to get Mateusz França. It could add up to 26 million in the end with add-ons. So they obviously a lot in the Rio de Janeiro-born winger. There's a throw-in for Everton on the far side, on the halfway line. Taken by Mikalenko, volleyed forward down the line by Harrison. And it goes for a Palace throw-in. Midway side of their own half with the number 17, Nathaniel Klein, who reached the semi-finals with Palace in the FA Cup a couple of seasons ago. He's got another throw in here, now on the halfway line. Looks like the rain has stopped. Probably the first time today in London as the throw goes to França, lifts over the head of Tarkowski, headed away though by Branthwaite, brought down by Danjuma. Gets away from Eze. Still in the Everton half, it's Onana, goes back to Branthwaite, and on the edge of the 18-yard box, Tarkowski. Out to the right back, Coleman, into his path, so he can latch onto the ball and plays it inside to McNeil on halfway. He's been forced back to Tarkowski as he's got Mitchell on his back. It's then played forward by Tarkowski to Onana, then to Branthwaite. He goes to left back Mikalenko. Still in the Everton half, it's with Onana, a central midfielder. Lays it back to Branthwaite. Onana, out to the left. It's a great ball by the Belgian. Finds James Garner, who just drifted out to the left wing position. Charges down the line. Plays the ball inside. Cut out by Anderson. Well read there by the Dane. It's now with the Brazilian right winger França. Back to Klein. First time ball forward. Intercepted by Anana. Keeps it away from Eze. And he plays it to Garner, who goes back to the halfway line to left back Mikalenko. Over half an hour in here at Selhurst Park. It's still 0-0 in this FA Cup third round fixture. Danjuma. Ball to his right to Garner. Kicks it out of plays. He's been closed down there by França and Richards. Last touch off a Palace man though, so it will be an Everton throw-in still on the far side. Throw goes back to the halfway line. To Garner. It's now with number 6, Tarkowski. Coleman. Forward to Harrison. He's got Gay on his back. He's dribbling away from Gay, taking him into the Everton half there. And he goes all the way back to the goalkeeper, João Virginia. 24-year-old goalkeeper. Has had 3 loan spells whilst he's been at Everton. Like I said, joined in August of 2018 from Arsenal. Switch out to the right to Coleman. Brings it down well, but he's been flagged offside. Very confused look on Coleman's face. He believes he was onside there, but let's have a look. Has the assistant referee got this one wrong again? No, he's just strayed there. Coleman. Just a lapse of concentration from a very experienced 35-year-old right-back who scored 3 goals in the FA Cup, Seamus Coleman. All of them in the third round. In the 2010-2011 season, in the 2012-2013 season, and in the 2013-2014 season. So he hasn't scored in the FA Cup for 10 years now. But he doesn't score many goals, Seamus Coleman. He has got 28 altogether for Everton during his 10-year stint at the club. 15-year stint, sorry, at the club. Coming into his 15th year. Made that mistake before, saying 14. And Everton have got it back in the midfield. Coleman lifts it. McNeil lifts it down the line towards Coleman. It's Calvert-Lewin to challenge Gay for it. Loose ball drops to Richards. Goes back to Dean Henderson, who clears it down the Palace left. It's gone beyond Lerma into Mateta, who's got the pace on Tarkowski. Mateta charges away. Left-hand side of the box on the angle. He'll have to cross, which deflects off the foot of Branthwaite. That'll be a corner on the near side for Palace. Not had much service up there as Mateta, but got the ball. The ball played through towards Lerma, missed him and Anana, and he was actually caught by Anana there, Lerma, but advantage was played due to the fact that the ball went through to Mateta, who was running beyond Tarkowski. That'll be Eze, right-footed in swinger, far post, header away by Everton, drops to the edge of the box to Mitchell, goes to his right here to França. Tries to recycle it back in the box. It's blocked by Harrison. Drops to Anderson. Goes back to the centre circle here to Klein. Who clips it out to the left-hand side here towards Eze. Goes away from McNeil. Eze has it. Inside to Schlupp. In the area. Looking for space for a shot. He's on the angle. So looks for the cross. It goes all the way over. And it's volleyed away by Mikalenko. A couple of yards away from goal. Back out towards Schlupp. Who heads it backwards here to Mitchell. East side views. Hello, hello. I hope you are enjoying this commentary as Lerma plays the ball through towards Mitchell, who just about keeps it in there, and the cross is low at the near post, and it's easily collected by João Virginia. But that ball from Schlupp, it's probably Palace's best chance. It deflects actually off Tarkowski, and it deflects towards goal where it had to be volleyed by Mikalenko. Right, don't spam, please, in the chat. I know not much is going on in the chat, but it's just a little bit distracting. That's all. But Schlupp causing a bit of problem, causing a few problems there for Everton. As Everton have it, Danjuma just inside the Palace half, dribbling forward, looking out to the right-hand side. Finds McNeil in a bit of room here. Coleman overlaps. McNeil will cross instead. No one's there to meet it. Headed won by Anderson. Headed away by Eze towards the feet of França. Can't quite get there ahead of Branthwaite. Mikalenko crosses. Calvert-Lewin heads on towards the near post. And it heads wide, and it'll be a goal kick for Crystal Palace. Decent ball in there by Mikalenko as well to find Calvert-Lewin, who won the header ahead of Mark Gay. But the header didn't trouble Dean Henderson in the Crystal Palace goal. But it was a gap of 56 days between Crystal Palace's last 2 Premier League wins. They beat Burnley away from home, and then they beat Brentford at home. And those 2 victories were on the 4th of November and the 30th of December, so a big 56-day wait for them to taste victory in the Premier League. So they haven't been in great form, Crystal Palace, but neither have Everton in the FA Cup in London. They have lost their last 12 FA Cup games in London, Everton, drawing 4 and losing 8. Their last win in London in the FA Cup was in the final back in 1995 against Manchester United. So usually when they get drawn in the FA Cup away in London, it's not usually a tie Everton like. That could change tonight. They've probably been the better team so far, as on the halfway line, Richards dispossesses Danjuma fairly according to the referee, despite the disagreement from Sean Dyche. And Palace have it inside their own half here with Klein. Finds Richards, back into Klein at right back. Forward, look for Eze, cut out well by Garner. Drops to Danjuma on the far side. Goes forward towards Calvert-Lewin, who's got a running behind the defence, but it goes straight through to Henderson. Pass just slightly overhit there. He may have been offside anyway, Calvert-Lewin, but Henderson was still ready off his line to come and get the ball. And Palace will build from the back. Their defensive third into their 18-yard box with the goalkeeper Dean Henderson, who's been to the quarter-final stages twice in this competition, once with Sheffield United and the other with Manchester United. There's Lerma, lifted ball down the left channel for Palace. Mateta will get there first in the final third, keeping it away from Branthwaite. Goes back here into Mitchell. Across to his right to Lerma, 25 yards from goal. Lets the ball roll through to Eze. Richards goes back to Gay. Everton compact at the back in their own half here as it's Palace on the ball. Gay out to the left here to Mitchell. Schlupp's making the run down the line. Mitchell will run inside himself. Plays it for Mateta, who dummies. Eze lays it off on the edge. Lerma with the shot! And it's just gone over the bar. It was always rising from the Colombian, but it nearly rattled the back of the net. Palace like what they saw there. Mitchell with a positive run forward, squaring it across. Good dummy from Mateta. And an even better layoff from Eze. Perfectly weighted for Lerma just to run onto it and strike. And he struck with venom. And it's just over the bar. It's not too far away from the former Bournemouth man. And it remains 0-0 here as we're 6 minutes away from half-time. And the goal kick goes straight out of play for a throw-in for Crystal Palace. Just goes over the head of Calvert-Lewin. And as well, including their poor record against London teams in the FA Cup for Everton, they've also got a bad record playing against teams from the Premier League in the FA Cup. They have lost 7 of their last 9 FA Cup games against fellow Premier League teams. So, the FA Cup hasn't quite been the friend of Everton in certain aspects when they play London sides and when they play fellow Premier League teams. Throwing here for Everton in the final third with Seamus Coleman on the near side. Throws it to Harrison, returns to Coleman, goes back to McNeil, who can cross it here, lifts it in, curls through, cleared by Anderson, all as far as Garner on the edge of the box. His shot blocked by Anderson. It was needed, and Gay's pulled down in the area as he tries to clear. And that'll be a free kick for Palace, but that's James Garner coming close. Not a bad cross from McNeil. Dealt with not very well by Anderson. Like I say, his clearance only fell as far as the edge of the box, where Garner latched onto it with his left-footed shot, and Henderson may have saved it, but it was still blocked before him by Anderson. And it remains 0-0 here. Now we've got 5 minutes to play of this first half in the FA Cup third round between Palace and Everton. Next commentary on the channel is Roma against Atalanta in this area on Sunday, 7:45. And then we've got more FA Cup commentary coming on Monday, 8:15 kickoff. Wigan taking on Manchester United. Gay clears long and up the field for Palace into the Everton half. Goes over the head of Mateta. Cleaned up by Branthwaite. Back to his goalkeeper, Virginia, who clears it for Everton. Left-footed up towards the halfway line. Headed forward by Richards for Palace. Towards França. Headed away from him by Mikalenko. Headed forward by Lerma. And he's fouled Onana there as he won the header. And it'll be a free kick for the away side given by Chris Kavanagh, who was actually the referee for Crystal Palace's away win at Old Trafford in the Premier League back on the 30th of September. One of Palace's better moments so far this season. Their win at Old Trafford, where they were beaten as well at Old Trafford in the League Cup. but then went on and beat them in the Premier League a few days after. So free kick for Everton, won by Onana in his own half. It'll be taken by the goalkeeper, Virginia. Switches it out to the right-hand side, into the 18-yard box, where it's been headed behind by Calvert-Lewin. Couldn't quite direct it towards goal there. The 6'2" striker, who has got 4 goals in 11 England caps. And his last appearance for England was in the Euros in 2021 against Ukraine. But now it's looking less likely he'll have a spot on the plane for the Euros this year, with the likes of Watkins and Wilson and Nketiah probably ahead of him in the pecking order for Gareth Southgate. There's Dean Henderson from this goal kick. Clears it down the Palace right into the Everton half. Headed on by Mateta. Comes off of Branthwaite. Headed forward by Garner to McNeil. Harrison returns it to McNeil, who touches it off his hands. And the referee doesn't see it as a free kick. Cleared by Palace. Headed forward by Tarkowski. Headed forward by Richards now. Drops to Schlupp. Heads it into the path of Mateta, who will chase it. Coleman will cover, and he'll slide it away from Mateta into the hands of Virginia. Nearly got ahead of Mateta there, Coleman, and if he did, he had a shot at goal. But Coleman got around him and was able just to clear the ball away to the goalkeeper. As Coleman now from right back clears it, it's a low ball up to the halfway line. It goes beyond Calvert-Lewin and out to the left-hand side to Gay for Palace. Lifts it inside. Well, as far as Garner, who's not surrounded by anyone, so he can bring it down, plays it to Tarkowski. Lifted forward for Calvert-Lewin, loses out on the header to Richards. But it'll be a throw-in on the near side, on the halfway line for Coleman. Yeah, nearly played through there by Schlupp, Mateta, but it was Coleman to do his defensive duties very well. And he had to get it right there, Coleman, because, like I say, Mateta was in the 18-yard area. As McNeil loses it here to Mitchell. França keeps it away for the moment from Garner. He's in the left wing position now, the Brazilian. Plays it forward to Mateta. Controls it, but can't keep it. Foot drops in the end for Tarkowski. And it's now with Everton's left back, Mikalenko, midway side his own half. Goes forward and out to the left of Danjuma, who's been a little bit quiet the last 10 or 15 minutes. And he'll play it forward to Calvert-Lewin. Touches it towards Harrison. Loses out to Richards. Now falls for Eze. França goes over the challenge of Danjuma, and that'll be a free kick for Crystal Palace. We are a minute away from the first half coming to a close. Still 0-0. And these are two teams who are lacking form. Everton 4 losses on the bounce. Palace were 8 without a win before their victory at the weekend to Brentford as a short ball to Lerma. He does get there first, the Colombian, goes back to Gay, who runs away from Harrison. Gay goes beyond the halfway line and his ball through down the left. He's cut out by Tarkowski, but his pass is just about kept away from Eze by Garner. Still with Everton in their 18-yard area with their goalkeeper, Virginia. Left-footed, high ball, up towards Calvert-Lewin, who will flick it onto Danjuma. It will be dealt with by Klein, but not very well. Drops straight to Garner in the Palace half, but his pass goes behind McNeil. It's now back with Palace with Mitchell. On this near side, goes to his right to Eze. Then back to Gay. Forward to Richards, then back to Anderson. Still inside the Palace half, it's with their right back Klein. Now with their central midfielder Lerma, up to Mateta, keeps the ball away from Tarkowski and Onana, feeds it out to the right winger França, who again driving on the inside. On the edge of the box he tries to shoot, blocked by Mikalenko, minute added on at the end of this first half. Lerma into the path of França in the box, byline, ball across, it deflects up in the air and goes right the way through. Dangerous cross there by Mateus França. He was well fed in behind there by Lerma. And he just whizzed the ball across. It came off Branthwaite. And behind for a throw-in on the opposite side, which has been taken. It's now with Ebere Eze. Forward to Schlupp. He's back to goal. So feeds the ball to Gay. And then returns it to Schlupp. Gay again. Forward to Eze. He also has his back to goal. He's got Tarkowski on his back. But he moves it out to the left to Mitchell. Forward for Schlupp. Flag goes up. And the cross he played anyway was collected by Virginia, but none of it would have mattered as the flag went up on Jeffrey Schlupp. And we've played the minute of added on time, and that's where the referee, Chris Kavanagh, will blow the whistle. It's been a first half which has been pretty even between both sides. These two Premier League teams, Everton have just edged the possession ever so slightly, but both sides have struggled to really get a grip in the game. Palace are yet to have a shot on target, but they have had a few crosses where they have scared the Everton defence. Schlupp's cross was cleared at the far post by Mikalenko. Then we've had that França cut back, dealt with by Branthwaite. But Everton have come closest to scoring. Danjuma in around the 20th minute on the left-hand side of the box, got away from Gay, but his shot towards the near post was saved over the top by Dean Henderson. It was a save that was needed. And then a couple of minutes later from a corner, it was a low one from Garner. It was an in-swinger. França missed it at the near post. And it went right the way through near the goal where Dean Henderson had to unconventionally save with his right boot to keep the ball out of the back of the net. But it's really been quite even. Like I say, no team's really got a hold of the game. And at half-time at Selhurst Park, it is Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0. Not a great half of football, I think we can all admit. Especially if you're watching, you'll be able to see that it's not been blockbusting stuff, really. I think Everton have probably been the better side, more so with the chances than anything. And they've looked a little bit more settled on the ball as well. Crystal Palace are still a little bit erratic when they have the ball. Just need to calm it down a little bit. But it is 0-0. Like I say, none of these teams want an extra game. If this is a draw, it goes to a replay. And I tell you right now, Sean Dyche and Roy Hodgson will not want a replay. 100%. So they want to avoid that replay. And to avoid the replay, you need to go out and win the game. And, you know, it's not the fact that none of them have tried to win the game. It's just that none of them have had the quality to put themselves ahead. You know, Danjuma definitely came close twice. He had a shot deflected onto the side netting early on. That was around 10 minutes in. Then had that shot in the 20th minute saved over the top by Henderson. But for Palace, they've really struggled to challenge João Virginia in the Everton goal. You know, it's the Portuguese goalkeeper's first appearance of the season. So you've got to try and test him, and they've not really tested him that much. And, you know, they've not had a shot on target yet, Crystal Palace, which tells you everything. Well, let's hope for a second half where the quality's upped a little bit more. And it's just annoying, it's frustrating, right? Because this is an FA Cup third round game. Third round, let's keep that in mind. And it's between two Premier League sides where, more often than not, when these two teams play each other, one of the games will more than likely be televised. And I just don't understand why they've put it on a Thursday night in London, where Everton have got to travel all the way and televise the game. I don't understand it. You're like, let's just, you know, this is something that really does me head in. Because following a team now in Stockport County who were in League Two, and I started supporting them when they were in the 6th tier, which is the National League North, and you understand an FA Cup run and how much it means to get on TV for money, and the fact that they're choosing Crystal Palace Everton on a Thursday night. I'm only commentating on it because it works in my schedule for this week. I can fit it in, but you know, I would rather. But then again, look, Tottenham Burnley tomorrow night. It's a Premier League game. You see that every season. It's absolutely ridiculous. Honestly, it blows my mind, the games they've selected. And, you know, games haven't been selected. You know, Maidstone Stevenage. I know it's a National League North team against a League 2 team, but you don't see these games every week. A National League South team, sorry, Maidstone, not North, South. You know, put them on TV, give them some coverage, show them some attention. They need it. And I guarantee you, 100%, that Maidstone Stevenage game will be 10 times more exciting than two Premier League teams who, you know, realistically will know that they probably can't win the FA Cup and they probably won't win it. They're more focused on staying up. Give someone else some TV. Watford Chesterfield. Chesterfield, National League leaders by a country mile. Fantastic team. I think they beat Portsmouth at home in the last round. Watford aren't doing great in the Championship for their standards. That could be an upset. That could be a cracking game where Chesterfield are going to go all out for it. Just really winds me up why they pick these all Premier League games to be televised. I just do not understand it in the slightest. It really does annoy me. On social media you'll see all the stories of all these teams during the first round and the second round who are going on these, unbelievable runs. Your older shots as well. National League beat Stockport County, League 2 leaders on the way to the third round. They're away at West Brom. No television pick for them. It's just absolutely ridiculous, and they need to sort out the third round choices they choose. Because why on earth Crystal Palace and Everton is a third round TV choice? I don't know. I mean, people can disagree with me, I don't know, but I would genuinely much rather watch a Maidstone Stevenage game or a Chesterfield Watford game where teams are playing, like Wimbledon Ipswich. What a game that'll be. Wimbledon in League 2 doing pretty well. I think they're just inside or just outside the playoffs. I can't quite remember where they are. Against Ipswich, who are second in the Championship. There could be an upset there. That'll be a great game. But no, we'll show a Premier League game that happens twice every seaon, and they're usually, at least one of the two times, they're televised. I don't know who makes the decisions, and whoever does, they need to sort it out. Because it's just not good at all. Frustrating. Frustrating to say the least. Because, we want to see games that maybe don't happen often, do you know what I mean? But what can you do? But it's definitely lacking quality, this game. And, I think also they've got to remember that, it's a replay. I tell you, these two teams don't want a replay. 100% guarantee that. So, hopefully they kind of come out, try to fire her a little bit more. Like I say, Palace came close there with that slump cross, which deflected off Tarkovsky in the end and nearly looped to the far post towards França, but it was cleared by Mikalenko. Also had the chance near the end of the half as well. Mateta dummy for Eze, who laid it off to Lerma, who absolutely bombed it over the crossbar. Very close, in fairness. He hit it well, Jefferson Lerma, who is still yet to score for his new club, Crystal Palace. Yeah, it just went over the bar and also was just curling wide as well. But the second half will be getting underway in about 5 minutes' time. I think it's good to see that the rain has stopped as well, more for the supporters, because, like I said, on the TV just before the game, they were saying how it had been non-stop raining, quite heavy for like 5 hours. So it's good to see that the rain has cleared away. Let's see if either of these two teams could make the FA Cup final. Like I say, most recently for Crystal Palace, it was 2016 against Manchester United. Reached the semi-final 2 seasons ago, but were beaten by Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel. For Everton, they haven't reached a final since 2009 against Chelsea themselves. 2-1 in the end. They were 1-0 up Chelsea in 1-0 up Everton, in 25 seconds, but couldn't quite see that one through. And in the year that Crystal Palace got to the final in 2016 against Manchester United, Everton were beaten in the semi-final by Manchester United. I think it was a late Martial goal in normal time, I'm pretty sure. I think Lukaku also missed a penalty for Manchester United for Everton that day before he moved to Manchester United. So it'll be definitely two teams who I think will look to try and get some cup success. Obviously, Everton nearly had some cup success this year in the League Cup. but were beaten in the quarter-finals by Fulham on penalties, missed by Anana, a penalty to send them through. That would have been a great chance for them to get to Wembley for sure. Everton, because if they were able to draw like a Middlesbrough who were in the League Cup, or they could have drawn, even a Chelsea maybe, would have been a viable way to get to the final. But penalties is a cruel game, and they've got to focus on the Premier League now in the FA Cup. They've still got to survive so far. Everton, like I say, if Luton were to win their game in hand, they would go into the relegation zone. Everton, obviously, they wouldn't be if they had their 10 points that they were deducted, but those 10 points have been deducted, and they've got to deal with it really at the minute. The players on the pitch can't use it as an excuse. They've just got to get it down and graft and hopefully see themselves survive, which I'm pretty sure they will. Everton, they've definitely shown under Sean Dyche this season that when they are playing in top form, they can pick up the sufficient amount of points that they will need. Hopefully we get some goals. It is a bit of a shame that this won't go to extra time or penalties. It will be a replay if the game ends in a draw. And it's just a shame because the last time these two teams did meet in the Premier League in November, it ended 3-2. 5 goals they were treated to. We've not been treated to any yet. In this fixture, it was only 1-1 at half time. Mikalenko scored in the opening minute for Everton, then Eze scored a penalty in the 5th to make it 1-1, and then Everton retook the lead 5 minutes into the second half through Decore, and then were pegged back through Edouard, who's on the bench tonight for Palace, and then Idrissa Gueye winner in the 86th minute gave Sean Dyche's side all 3 points. But Palace have progressed from 2 of their 6 FA Cup ties against Everton. Obviously, most recently in the quarterfinals back in 2022. But they played 5 FA Cup games back from 1907 to 1931. The first 5 games these two sides played against each other were in the FA Cup. Wonder if there have been changes as well at half time. I can't imagine so, but some players might need some minutes, some players might not be able to play the full amount. This game definitely needs to spark into life. A good player for Everton was Arnaut Danjuma for the first 25 minutes or so, but for the last 20 minutes of the first half, he went a little bit quiet on the Everton left-hand side. It's weird, Danjuma, because obviously you might remember he spent the second half of last season on loan at Tottenham, where he was only able to score 2 goals for them, one in the Premier League against Bournemouth in a defeat at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And under Unai Emery at Villarreal, he was actually doing really well for the Spanish side. He's got a good goal-scoring record for Villarreal of Danjuma, 22 goals in 51 appearances. But didn't quite work at Tottenham. He was limited minutes there under Antonio Conte. And then they've got him on loan here, because remember, he was meant to sign for Everton last January, but switched his ideas last minute and joined Tottenham instead of Everton, and didn't play very much at Tottenham. But now he's actually joined Everton on loan. And again, that he's being not used. It's confusing because there's definitely a player in there. He's fantastic. He was really good for Bournemouth in the English game. It's definitely in the Championship. He got 15 in 33 in the Championship in the 2020-2021 season. So Danjuma can definitely do it, but obviously he's not a very Sean Dyche player, which confuses me why they brought him in, because Sean Dyche was at the club in the summer. Do you know what I mean? Like, he would have had a say over the signing. But yeah, just interesting how they've not really used him at all, as both sets of players are back out for the second half. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more exciting, but we'll wait and see. As there is Sean Dyche, as mentioned before, he is unbeaten in his last 7 games against Crystal Palace. as a manager. And for Roy Hodgson, he has got a horrific record against Everton. He has not won against Everton as a manager in his last 14. For Roy Hodgson, his last win against Everton was when he was at West Brom. It was a 1-0 win back in May 2011. So Roy Hodgson doesn't like facing Everton. Sean Dyche loves facing Crystal Palace. So off that logic, it might be an Everton away win, but it could go either way this game. I don't think records and stats like that mean much when it's an FA Cup game like this, where it can go either way, really. It really can. As it'll be Everton to not kick us off. They kicked off first half. It'll be Palace kicking off, kicking left to right. Everton right to left. We have had no half-time changes, so it'll be the same as we were in the first half. It'll be Eze to kick off for Crystal Palace. He goes back to Joachim Andersen, who plays it out to the left-hand side. It's a high ball towards Schlupp, goes over his head and Tarkovsky's, and it'll be a throw-in midway inside the Everton half for Coleman on that far side. Coleman with that throw-in. It's a long throw up towards the halfway line. It's headed away by Gay. Volleyed back forward by Coleman. Headed away again by Gay. Another throw-in for Everton on the halfway line. On the far side. Coleman throws. Headed backwards by Calvert-Lewin. Harrison loses out to Lerma. Poked forward here by Schlupp into Mateta, who's drifted out to the left wing here. Mateta running at Tarkovsky. He'll go for an early left-footed cross here, Mateta. He goes all the way through to the opposite side to França. He will just about keep it in. He's got Mikalenko chasing him. França will keep it. He'll play a left-footed ball through, looking for Eze. The idea is correct. The execution isn't. And it will run through for an Everton goal kick. Lucky there from Matheus França, the Brazilian, signed in the summer. And he has a Ballon d'Or release clause. I'm not joking you. He has a Ballon d'Or release clause, Matheus França, the 19-year-old Palace winger. And if he is to have win the Ballon d'Or, it will mean Crystal Palace will give £4.3 million to Flamengo, the team he was signed from. So that's a clause in his deal that I couldn't believe was true, but it is. And yeah, if he wins the Ballon d'Or, then it means money out of Palace's pocket. So it is a throw-in in the defensive third here for Everton, on the near side with Mikalenko, the left back. Throws it down the line. It's come off the face of Klein, cleared by Garner for Everton. Always finds Gay on the halfway line. He goes back to his goalkeeper here, Dean Henderson, who's not had an England call-up since September 2022. And with the likes of Nick Pope out and Palace's other goalkeeper, Sam Johnston, he might be able to get himself a call-up in the next international break, as we've obviously got a Euros creeping up ahead of us in the summer in Germany. But unfortunately for Dean Henderson, both of his clean sheets against Everton have come at Goodison Park. He's never kept a home clean sheet against them. Hopefully for Palace that might change tonight, as it's Palace to play out from the back with Gay on the edge of the 18-yard box. It'll be a left-footed ball. It's a high one up to the halfway line. Flipped on by Mateta. Eze will chase it as it goes in behind Branthwaite, who gets there first and kicks it back to the goalkeeper, Virginia, who clears it first time with his left foot. Comes off Richards for Garner. For McNeil, sorry. And it goes out for Everton throwing on the far side. Last touch off Tyreek Mitchell for Crystal Palace. And it'll be Coleman to take the throw-in towards Anana. Last touch off Lerma. So it'll be another Everton throw-in. Coleman will throw it down the line towards Calvert-Lewin. He flicks it on straight to the chest of Gay, who then volleys away with his left foot. Straight out for another throw-in for Coleman. This time inside the Crystal Palace half. As Anana. Lifted ball down the right channel for Everton. Gay will meet it with the header. Be brought down by Calvert-Lewin, who tries to play a ball towards Coleman. It goes out of touch for a Crystal Palace throw-in. Couldn't quite get the pass right there, Calvert-Lewin to Coleman, who was sprinting forward from full-back. Thrown down the line for Palace. Headed backwards by Tarkovsky, then forward by Branthwaite. Lerma tries to control, can't quite do so. Runs out of pitch for a throw-in for Everton in the end. Midway side the Palace half on the far side. Coleman tries to take it quickly, but refrains. and throws it to Harrison. Controls it back into Coleman. Lifted to Calvert-Lewin. Lays it off for Harrison. On the right wing position. Crosses through for Danjuma. Controls it. Can't get the shot away. Does go backwards to Mikalenko. So Everton keep possession. Garner on the edge of the area. Scoops out the shots from under his feet. And he curls it wide of the post, unfortunately, for Everton. There's James Garner. Just has the 2 goals so far this season. 1 in the Premier League and 1 in the League Cup. Yet to score in the FA Cup. All of his FA Cup appearances have come for Nottingham Forest. As a Palace to play out from the back. Mitchell down the line. Goes beyond Schlupp. Can't be held up here for Palace. But then McNeil loses it to Schlupp in the midfield. Ezer on halfway. Playing out to the right hand side to França. First time ball back into Ezer. Edge of the area. Will he strike? He will inside the box. And he forces a save at the near post from Virginia. Good goalkeeping from the 24-year-old. Good link up there between Mateusz França and Ibera Ezer. And the former QPR midfielder was allowed to stride into the box and shoot. But it was matched by the save from the Everton goalkeeper. So it'll be a corner for Crystal Palace. On the near side, it'll be an outswinger from Palace's number 10, who will raise his left arm. He will put an outswinging cross in where the header's won by Lerma, straight into the hands of João Virginia. Not a bad attempt from the header from Lerma. Just too far down the centre of the goal as Virginia tries to send away Harrison with a ball into the half of the Palace. Into the half of Palace. But it goes straight through for Henderson in the box, who can collect it ahead of Harrison. He was running like a bit of a madman there to try and get on the end of that goalkeeping clearance. But it is Everton again to have to defend and set up with compactness as França brings down the ball out to the right-hand side. Skips beyond Mikalenko. In the final third towards the byline, overruns it. Goes over under the challenger Mikalenko, but no free kick given. Goal kick for Everton. Got a bit of pace about him, the Brazilian. Surprised he's not been given a free kick there. I know the advantage may have been played, actually. But he had a few tugs of the shirt there, Mikalenko. On França. High ball from Everton. Headed inside by McNeil from the right wing. It's dealt with by Gay. And as he clears, he's just been caught there by Calvert-Lewin. That'll be a free kick for Palace. Gay chested it down and shifted the ball away, and then he was met by the challenge from Calvert-Lewin. Don't think he's been carded for it. Nothing late or anything. There was no stud showing. He actually got caught by the thigh of Calvert-Lewin. So from the free kick, midway inside the Palace half, it's taken by Anderson. It's a high ball out to the right. That's a bit of decent control by França. And he forces the throw-in. Mikalenko clears away. Right next to the corner flag on the near side. So Palace have pushed right up the pitch here. And if they can make something of this throw-in, they could take a lead in the FA Cup third round. As those Everton supporters are in full voice. As you'd expect. Klein can't find França with the throw-in, cleared by Mikalenko, held up by Calvert-Lewin, but his chested touch falls only as far as Ezer, and it's still Palace in the Everton half with the ball. Ezer back to Richards, across to the left now to Mitchell. He finds Schlupp, it's Lerma, who tries to let the ball run out wide, but it's just slightly overhit, and it goes out for a throw-in for Everton in the right-back position, to the frustration of 76-year-old Roy Hodgson, who is still at the club, 47 years of managing. And both of his draws that he's picked up against Sean Dyche, when these two have met as managers, they have both been 0-0. So usually when they stalemate each other, there is no goals involved. Let's hope that is not the case tonight. As Palace switch out to the left wing. What a ball that is from Anderson. Good control by Mitchell. Midway side the Everton half, on the far side. 1-2 here with Lerma. Now into Schlupp, who dribbles away from Anana. Goes back to the halfway line to Gay. Turns away from Harrison. Good bit of skill there from Mark Gay, the captain tonight for Palace. Plays a ball forward. Absolutely no one's there. Straight out of play for a goal kick. Did everything right there, Gabe, until the pass. Tarkowski from the back for Everton. Lifts it up towards Calvert-Lewin. His flick on is blocked by the head of Richards. Goes through towards Coleman, who just runs out of pitch on the halfway line. And that'll be a Crystal Palace throw-in. So Crystal Palace throw-in. Right in front of Sean Dyche. Headed inside by Dan Zuma. It's now Branthwaite at the back for Everton. Just volleys away over the top for Calvert-Lewin, who will get there at a gate. Flag stays down for the moment, and it will continue to stay down. As Calvert-Lewin waits for support, he gets it back into the midfield for Onana. That's the hold-up play that Everton are wanting from their number 9. And they've now got possession in the Palace half. They have to go back to the halfway line now to Branthwaite to keep possession. Onana looks out to the right, finds Tarkowski, and it's now with Coleman. Got everything to his left here. Forced backwards to Tarkowski after being pressured there by Schlupp. And it's now in the Everton half with Branthwaite. Got a bit of time on the ball here, the number 32. Goes out to the left here to McNeil in a left-back position. Back into Branthwaite. Switches it out to the right on the halfway line to Coleman. Brings it down well. Charging down the right-hand side. Goes inside to the left here to Harrison. Once more to the left to Garner. It's now McNeil, who's going to put that cross in with his left foot. Goes beyond Calvert-Lewin, header won by Mitchell. And as far as Onana for Everton, 25 yards from goal. Just gliding out towards the right-hand side. Goes back to Tarkowski. Forward, deflects off Lerma. Loose ball finds Branthwaite. And he goes out to the left now. Looks for McNeil. Good touch. Keeps it away from Klein. Mikalenko's making a run forward. Can't find him. He'll drive on the inside instead of McNeil. Running away from Klein. It's now with Garner. All Palace plays behind the ball, except Mateta up front for Palace. Now James Garner. Harrison on the left wing. Back to Garner again. To his right to Onana. It's now Branthwaite on the halfway line. Forward to Mikalenko, who's allowed to turn. Face forward. Cross the ball. Headed away by Richards. Picked up again by Onana. Keeps the pressure alive here. Can Palace deal with it? Coleman. Midway side the Palace half, dinks it into the area towards the far post. No one's making a run. He'll go straight through for Klein at right back, who will clear it off of the foot of McNeil. And that'll be a goal kick for Palace. So still 0-0. Over half an hour to play between Crystal Palace and Everton. 3 of the last 4 draws between these two sides in the Premier League have been 0-0. So they are prone to a goalless draw, these two sides. Headed away by Tarkowski. Beyond the halfway line. It'll be picked up by Gay. Nods it out to the left to Lerma. Down the line towards Schlupp. Beaten to it by Coleman. Forward into the Palace half for Dan Zuma. Wide right to Calvert-Lewin. May have strayed offside, but flag stays down for the moment. In the final third, Calvert-Lewin crosses. It's headed away by Klein. Drops into the box back for Harrison. Good bit of control. Finds himself on the edge of the area where he tries to shoot. It deflects and cleared in the end by Anderson. Can't make it stick though. Mateta up front goes through for Everton. The quality from the top 6 below is so obvious. Yeah, it's not great. It really isn't. Tarkowski's ball into the 18-yard area from afar is collected by Dean Henderson. Yeah, it's not fantastic. It really isn't. It's just 2, for me, very mediocre Premier League sides playing in a game where I don't think either of them will mind winning or losing. I don't think either of these 2 teams will really have a focus on the FA Cup. I don't think it'll be part of the objectives. Definitely not for Everton with their point deduction. They'll just look to make sure they survive in the Premier League. And for Crystal Palace, I mean, they're 14th in the Premier League at the minute. They're 5 points off Everton, who are 17th. they'll probably survive. They've probably got enough with the likes of Eze and Elise and Mateta and players like that, and Anderson and Gay at the back to survive. But I just don't think they'll have much interest in the FA Cup, to be honest. If they go on a good run, great. If they don't, then they'll just focus on the Premier League, make sure they stay up, and make sure that they can rebuild for next season, because I'm going to presume Roy Hodgson probably won't be in charge next year, being he'll be 77 next season. But yeah, it's a free kick here for Palace on the left-hand side, crossed in by Eze. It's a deep one. Anderson wins it. It's parried away by Virginia. Out to the edge of the area here to Lerma. To his left to Schlupp. 25 yards from goal. He's gonna shoot. Well blocked by Calvert-Lewin. And it'll be seen out for a throw-in for Palace in the final third on this near side. Well, Lerma's over it. And he's going to try a long one here, possibly Lerma. No, he'll drop the ball here in the end. And he'll allow right back Nathaniel Klein to take. Nathaniel Klein throws it into França. Goes back here into Joachim Anderson, who'll go for an early cross. It's a deep one, looking towards Mitchell, who controls it behind for a goal kick. Half an hour to go. It is Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0 in this third round game on a Thursday night, where the weather has been quite heavy with rain. It has dried up, though, the last 45 minutes or so. Actually came off the back of Calvert-Lewin there and not the head of Anderson, where Virginia parried. As Palace have it inside their own half here with number 6, Mark Gay, who did score in the meeting between these two in the quarterfinals 2 seasons ago in the 4-0 win for Palace. There's a ball down the line by Klein. Can be seen through for a goal kick by França, by Mikalenko. França was chasing. But it's just been a bit of a painful one so far. They were beaten 3-1 at Old Trafford last season, Everton. They're holding their own at the minute, 0-0 at Selhurst Park. Virginia finds left back Mikalenko, keeps it in the defensive third, lifts it down the line. It's a bouncer. Harrison will chase it. Anderson will get there first and keeps it away from Harrison in the right back position for Palace. Plays it for Klein, who lets it run across his body, and he'll play it inside to the left to França. Once more left for Schlupp to Eze. His first time ball, looking for Lerma in behind. Doesn't quite catch it. Picked up by Coleman. Cleared by Virginia in the Everton goal. Up to the halfway line where it goes through towards Harrison. Header won by Anderson. Out to right back Klein on halfway. Tries to shift it down the line. It deflects off McNeil into the path of Calvert-Lewin, who's charging away in the box. Right-footed shot, and that is poor. Doesn't catch it. Easy save for Henderson, who quickly throws it out to the left-hand side towards Lerma, who can't keep it in. Throw in for Everton. But it's got to be better from Calvert-Lewin. Bad giveaway from Klein as it deflected off McNeil. Found Calvert-Lewin on the left-hand side, driving inside onto that right foot. Tried to curl it to the far post. Just didn't catch it. Easy save in the end. Still Everton possession. Mikalenko. Nice ball down the left-hand side again for Harrison. Just outside the 18-yard area. Enters the box. Richards is trying to stop the cross, and he does do that well, but he does concede a corner. On this near side for Everton. And I think it'll be James Garner with his right foot to put an in-swinger in. Cooper to Palace. He'll move on then. Yeah, possibly. I think Cooper is definitely someone that Palace will have their eye on. But it's just a matter of fact if they'll, if Cooper will still be available come the end of the season. Have they got a reasonable excuse to get rid of Roy Hodgson at this moment when they're safe in the Premier League? They might look to try and bring in a fresh start at the start of next season as Garner puts this corner in, headed behind by Mateta. So it'll be another corner on the opposite side this time. Henderson came for it, but Mateta opted to head behind as he'd already gone up for it at the near post, and he goes behind for another corner. Got up high there, Jean-Philippe Mateta. He is already 6'4", the Frenchman, but the spring he had there was unbelievable. So it's going to be a corner on the far side. It'll be Dwight McNeil, in-swinger, with that left boot of his, which we know can put in a good cross. In it goes. It's a deep one. Far post. It comes off. That definitely comes off a Palace man, surely. No? Oh, he's given a goal kick. He thinks it's come off Anana. I'm sure that came off Richards, the Palace man. Let's have a look. Ball goes in. Anana's going up for it. That comes off the Crystal Palace player. I'm sure that's a corner. That's a bad decision from Chris Kavanagh, the referee. Ball floated in. He went towards Onana, but it was headed behind by Richards. But with Palace with the goal kick. Henderson with it. Into the 18-yard boxes with Gay. Left back Mitchell controls the pass. Goes down the line. Header won by Coleman. Throw-in for Crystal Palace. We're able to gain 18 points last season, Crystal Palace, from a possible 30 under Roy Hodgson, which shows the impact he had coming back to the club last season. But he's not quite been able to kick on this season. It's been pretty poor from Palace so far. Just 5 wins from 20 in the Premier League. As Mitchell clears up the field for Palace, up towards Mateta, header away on the edge of the box by Branthwaite, falls for Lerma, who's brought down, but Branthwaite got the ball, so play continues. Tarkowski forward to Onana. He's got Eze following in behind, but he shifts it out to the left to McNeil. Mikalenko overlaps, he feeds it to the Ukrainian. And then once again, McNeil will overlap him, but Mikalenko will put a ball in instead as it's sliced behind for a corner. Like I say, McNeil's overlapping run meant Klein backed off. So Mikalenko put the cross in. But it was dealt with by Anderson. Not that well, though, because he obviously sliced it behind. But it's not led to a goal yet, but he has conceded the corner. And they've got plenty of tall bodies up there. Tarkowski, Branthwaite, Onana, Calvert-Lewin. So it'll be another left-footed in-swinger from Dwight McNeil. 2 arms raised, but before we're going to take it, the referee wants a word here with Tyreek Mitchell and James Garner, who were the 2 players stood closest to the Crystal Palace goalkeeper, Dean Henderson. So McNeil will place the ball again. Those 2 arms are raised again. It's another deep one. Tarkowski heads it back across. Still alive. Onana gets up for it and heads it over the bar. He really used his stature there to get up and beyond any Crystal Palace players. Both Tarkowski and Onana, but especially Onana, got up high above Mateus França, but couldn't quite direct the header on target. Just couldn't quite get over the header. Just more hit the top of his head and looped over the crossbar in the end. So it remains 0-0. Dean Henderson with the goal kick. It's a high one. It's a header won by Branthwaite. Headed forward by Gay. Now to left back Tyreek Mitchell in his own half. Turned backwards to Gay, who then goes forward with a lofted ball. Looking for Schlupp. Straight out of play for a throw-in on halfway. On the far side. Coleman gets it back from Harrison. High ball towards Calvert-Lewin. Headed away by Richards. Regained by Coleman. Danjuma inside for Harrison. In behind looking for Calvert-Lewin. It's a high one. It drops off the back of Gay into left back Mitchell. Down the line by Lerma. Picked up by Eze, who runs into teammate Mateta. And it means Everton can just nick the ball back off Palace. And with Branthwaite on the halfway line. Curls it out to the left-hand side here to number 7, Dwight McNeil, who's never scored in this competition as he gets beyond França. Driving forward. Lays it off for Danjuma. Back to McNeil. Goes to Onana. It's now Mikalenko on the left. Down the line. Harrison. Loads of time for him on the byline. Chips across into the far post. Header. Coleman. Backwards. Oh, it finds a Palace man. Cleared in the end by Lerma. And Tarkowski will let it roll for a throw-in on halfway. Taken quickly. Throws it to centre-back partner Branthwaite. On the halfway line. Out to the left to Mikalenko. Here's McNeil. Everything to his right. He's going to go for a very early cross. Aiming for Calvert-Lewin. He goes right the way through to the opposite side for Coleman, who controls the ball. Goes back here to Garner. To his left to Onana. Midway side the Palace half. He plays it through down the right for Garner. Good ball. Low cross. It's dealt with by Gay. Throwing for Everton on the far side in the final third. So they're still high in the Palace half. So we've not had a change yet. And we're 68 minutes in. Shows how much of a deadlock this game is. I can't believe we're 68 minutes in, to be honest. Or 68 and a half minutes in. Coleman gets the return from the throw from Garner. Goes down the line for Harrison, who stayed on side. Garner can't slot it back through for Harrison, but it deflects to Onana. It's now back on the halfway line with Branthwaite. Clips the ball out to the left, brought down by McNeil. Klein's met him, but he dribbles away from Klein. Gets away from França, who slips. It's now Onana. Back forward to McNeil, who turns very nicely. He'll dink a cross in towards Danjuma, punched away by Henderson. Controlled on the edge of the box by Garner. Forced to go backwards to Onana. 30 yards from goal. Spins away from Mateta. Out to the left it goes to McNeil. Can he deliver another cross? He'll play it down the flank instead to Mikalenko, who can't chop past França, but he's kept the ball away from the Palace winger. It's with McNeil into Onana. Back to Branthwaite, and a square pass to his right to Tarkowski. It's a bit of Everton domination the last couple of minutes. Onana's ball forward though, met by Anderson ahead of Calvert-Lewin, but Palace can't make it stick. They lose it through Eze. It's now Danjuma, who's now playing a right wing position for Everton. Onana to the right wing, Garner back on the halfway line to Tarkowski. Looks like Palace are going to take the first roll of the dice with some substitutes, as it's well worked to Mikalenko on halfway on the left hand side, driving forward, lays it off here for Harrison, who turns forward, shoots from 25 or so yards out, but always dragging wide of the post, and that'll go for a Crystal Palace goal kick. For the amount of possession they've just had there, Everton, for the last 2-3 minutes, for it to all lead to that shot, which went about 5 yards wide, is just a bit disappointing, really, as Palace are going to make these changes. And on his first ever start for the club, signed from Flamengo for £17 million, Mateus França will be replaced by Will Hughes, and Jeffrey Schlupp will be replaced by Nayuri Ahamada, who's making his FA Cup debut, number 29 for Palace. And there is Will Hughes as well. Crystal Palace number 19, just the 1 goal for him in 9 previous games against Everton, as he's making his 18th appearance in the FA Cup. So 2 changes for Everton, as Amadou Onana is just getting some treatment here for the moment. Not quite sure what's wrong with the Belgian. And Sean Dyche is in conversation with his assistants there, Ian Wone and Steve Stone. And there is Roy Hodgson in conversation with his very trusty assistant, Ray Lewington. They first worked together in 2007, Ray Lewington and Roy Hodgson, and now they're a pretty iconic duo in the coaching game in England. You see Ray Lewington very vocal on the sidelines. He likes to give a lot of instructions out to his players, the assistant for Crystal Palace. As we're back underway, Onana's okay. I think he's off the pitch though, just for the moment, after receiving treatment, but the goal kick goes straight through for an Everton throw-in inside their own half. Thanks to everyone who is here. I've not started the timer. Apologies. I'm not going to apologise for the quality of the game, because I have very little influence on how a game goes. But this has been really, really bad. But what can you do? What can you do? You can only hope that it somehow improves. So I'm just going to get this timer going in a minute. So Everton throwing with Mikalenko, the left back. Finds Garner, who goes back to the edge of the 18-yard box to Tarkowski, as he was being pressed there by substitute Hughes. Harrison loses possession just inside the Palace half through Lerma. Hughes finds Gay. Mitchell inside to Lerma. Eze to the right to Hughes, who will keep it away there from Harrison. Brings in the right back Klein into play. It's now with Ahamada. Back to Klein. Forward to Ahamada. It's now Richards on halfway. Goes back into the Palace half through Anderson. Forward to Ahamada, who's been caught in possession by Onana, but the tackle goes back to Anderson. His pass is poor. Straight off Tarkowski's boot into Onana. Dribbling forward. Playing it through for Calvert-Lewin in the area. Will it drop to him? He'll drop for Danjuma instead. And his shot is straight at Henderson. He's had 3 good chances tonight, Danjuma. And Henderson's been equal to 2 of the 3. Bad giveaway from Anderson. Deflects off the foot of Tarkowski. Nicely into the path of Onana. His ball through for Calvert-Lewin. Deflects off Gay into Danjuma, whose shot went straight at Dean Henderson. As Anan has gone down here after a late challenge, I think, from Will Hughes. Let's have a look here. Yeah, the ball had already gone and Hughes just went through the back of Anana there. So we're just passing the 74th minute in this one. Like I say, there's no extra time, there's no penalties. Straight to a replay if this does end 0-0. So from that free kick, won by Anana, just inside the Everton half, he'll be taken by goalkeeper Virginia. It's a high one. Out to the Everton left. Edge of the box, it goes over Tarkowski. It'll roll through towards Klein, who will have to volley because he was being closed down there by Branthwaite. Headed forward by Mikalenko. Headed back forward for Palace by Richards. Brought down by Mateta. Hughes back to Mateta on halfway. He's grappling with Tarkowski, and the free kick eventually goes the way of Crystal Palace. Like I say, Tarkowski being a little bit too strong there on Jean-Philippe Mateta, who has been starved of service up front there for Crystal Palace, the Frenchman, who's got 2 FA Cup goals himself, Jean-Philippe Mateta. One of them in the quarter-final against Everton a couple seasons ago as Eze loses out midway side the Everton half to Coleman. Ball over the top towards Calvert-Lewin. He brings it down with his head, slides in to keep it away from Klein. Calvert-Lewin on the edge of the area, on his left foot, lays it off for McNeil. On the angle, chops onto the right foot, lays it off to Harrison. Tackled by Gay, cleared in the end by Ahamada. And that will be a throw-in for Palace in the end. Last touch comes off Branthwaite, who collides into the advertisement boards. Ball through to McNeil there. Ooh, studs were showing by Calvert-Lewin as he slid in there. As I mentioned before, he had to slide in to keep the ball away from Klein. And the studs were showing. He did win the ball. So Klein stayed down. He was caught by the studs of Calvert-Lewin. He did win the ball, though, as well. So a bit of both there from Everton's number 9. Presuming VAR is going to have a look. We have got VAR tonight due to it being at a Premier League stadium, and that's Craig Pawson. If common sense is used, it's not a red card. Studs are up. Oh, I don't know. It's a very striker's challenge. I know it's very cliche, but yeah, checking a possible red card. Serious foul play. Dominic Calvert-Lewin went in with a slide tackle. Studs was showing. Did win the ball very well. But it was almost the follow-through with the studs that hit the leg of Nathaniel Klein. I think it'd be a very harsh red card. I know studs was showing, but I think that would really kill the game. Oh, and they're making him go and have a look. Oh, this can't be a red. I mean, I don't know what you guys think if you're watching the game. If you're not, I don't think that's a red card. I know the studs are showing, but it's not a malicious challenge. It's not a powerful one. It's not like he's gone lunging in or anything. It's just a little slide tackle. Actually, he's not going in with force. He's not going in with speed. Yes, the studs are slightly showing, but he won the ball very well. Went in. Studs showing. I don't even think the studs are that high. It's not like up to his knee. It's just onto where the shin pad is, I think. Just the middle of the right leg comes across. His eyes are on the ball. His eyes are fixated on the ball. I just think that would be a very harsh red card. So he's been sent over. Oh, he barely touches him. It can't be a red card. It can't be. I think by law, I think he might send him off here. Chris Kavanagh is going over to Dominic Calvert-Lewin and sending him off. Oh, my word. Dominic Calvert-Lewin isn't angry. He isn't anything. He is just, I think he's more laughing. And so is Sean Dyche. He's also laughing. That is absolutely ridiculous. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has picked up his first ever red card for Everton. And I am absolutely bemused. I cannot believe that is a red card. What has the game become? I think even Will Hughes, the Crystal Palace midfielder, is saying that is a soft decision. The game's gone. I can't believe that's a red. Calvert-Lewin sent off, given his marching orders. He'll be waved away and waved down the tunnel by the Crystal Palace supporters. But how is that possibly a red card? I think Calvert-Lewin is so confused he's not angry. John Condon, it's not a red, thank you. At least I'm not the only one. But they are putting a striker back on. They are making a change. It's Everton's first substitute, Arnaut Danjuma, who's been playing out wide on the right this second half. He's come off, and Beto, the number 14's on. So I think it's going to be a 4-4-1 for Everton. McNeil and Harrison out wide, with Beto on his own up front. I just can't believe that's a red card. He doesn't go in looking at the player. There's this, and I think the speed of the tackle needs to be taken into consideration. He's not flying in. He's just very lightly, just a little sliding to make sure he keeps the ball away from Klein. And he barely catches his leg. It hits his shin pad area. You know, if he goes in really quick, you know, erratically, not in control, I'd understand. But I've not seen a striker be more in control of his body going into a slide tackle. Actually, don't get me wrong, it's a little bit silly that the studs are showing, but it's not like he's maliciously gone out to hurt Nathaniel Klein, as Ahamada for Crystal Palace on the near side has won a corner. He's kicked it off McNeil, and it goes straight out of play. And surely Crystal Palace have got to fancy this. Go straight to a replay. If it's a draw, and they could save a extra game being played, and they could find themselves in the fourth round here. Crystal Palace. On the near side, it'll be a right-footed outswinger from Abera Eze. It's a low one. It's cleared at the near post by Beto. Straight to the edge of the area to Ahmad, who shoots, and it's always curling wide of the far post. And it'll be a goal kick for Everton. So, red card for Calvert-Lewin. I need to know what more people think about that. Obviously, we've got John there giving his opinion, and I'm glad he agrees with me. But my head is spinning. I can't believe that. Yeah, everyone else is agreeing. That is definitely not a red card. Yeah, okay. Not just me being me. Like everyone else that I can read on Twitter also agrees that's not a red card. It's just, the contact's minimal. The studs aren't ridiculously high. He's not gone in maliciously. He's actually kept the ball really well. And I just can't believe Chris Kavanagh's give that a red card. Like I said this in the last stream, actually. The last stream we did, which was West Ham Brighton. And during half-time, I actually spoke about how this country is in an officiating crisis. It is in a refereeing crisis, not just the Premier League with VAR, which that's a crisis within itself, but also just the standard of officiating is awful. It really is. The fact that Chris Kavanagh has been told to go and have a look, he's looked at it on a replay and gone, yes, that's a red card. And by the way, Chris Kavanagh, for the foul, was right in front of it. He was there. He's about 10 yards away. And him seeing it with his own eyes in time, didn't see it as a red card, and he's gone over to the screen and gone, actually, no, I was wrong. Barmy. Mitchell gives it away on the Palace left, played through by Anana to Beto in the area. Squares it for Ghana! And he doesn't meet it. He does meet it, but not very well. Right over the crossbar, that flies. Picked up by Anana. Nice ball down the right channel for Beto, who got the cross in ahead of the block from Richards, and on the penalty spot, Ghana, just off balance, strikes it over. But I think this will put more fire in the belly of the Everton players. I think they'll fancy going on to win this, even with 10 men. There's another change for Crystal Palace. Jefferson Lerma is replaced by a returning Odsonne Edouard, who was out for the last 3 games before returning to the bench against Brentford, where he didn't come on. Has 7 goals this season, 1 in the League Cup against Plymouth. He's got 6 in the Premier League. His last in early December against West Ham. And Nathaniel Klein will be the other player to come off, and he'll be replaced by number 52, David Ozo, the 18-year-old for Crystal Palace. He was born in Valencia, Spain, but moved to England at a young age, and he does represent England at youth level. He's made 5 appearances for the under-18s. So with 6 minutes to play, a couple more changes for both sides. Will we get a winner with Everton down to 10 men? Calvert-Lewin, red carded for a showing studs challenge on Klein. Anderson on halfway. High ball out to the Palace left. It'll be a header won by Coleman. Out of play midway inside his own half here for Palace on the far side. Anderson in the centre circle. Gay on halfway to his left. Back across to Anderson. Forward for Edouard, who's just dropped a bit slightly deep for the ball here. He brings Richards into play, who's gone over to right back. Anderson, another ball, dinked into the area, over the top of the Everton defence, brought down by Eze, and a shot from Palace number 10, blocked very bravely by Tarkowski. And that'll be a corner kick on the far side for Crystal Palace. Good ball from Anderson. Eze had just stayed on side as the corner's been taken and it's going to go behind for a goal kick. Didn't see the corner taken because they were showing a replay. But the block from Tarkowski was the one that was needed and nothing resulted from the corner in the end, as from the corner, Everton have had a man staying down. Not sure who stayed down, in all honesty. I didn't even see the corner. They were showing a replay, so I didn't even see the corner. There's a Palace medical staff member in assistance, just in case. I don't quite know what's happened here. I really don't know. Mateta's been shown a yellow. You've got to remember, if Everton were to take this goal kick without this player on the pitch, they would be down to 9, so I think they're going to hold the goal kick here. I don't know. I can't even make out who's down. I didn't even see the corner. Good coverage here from ITV. Not even showing the corner. So I can't tell you how it's all happened, in all honesty. Dwight McNeil, the man who's gone down, in pain. He's got his shirt covering his face. I really don't know what's happened here. I do apologise. I mean, I'm apologising for something I can't help. I don't actually know what's happened here. But it seems quite serious. They're cutting something here. What are they cutting? Oh, they're going to continue. Wow. So McNeil's getting treatment off the field where he landed. So Everton are currently down to 9 men at the moment, with Palace winning it through Hughes in the midfield. Halfway line now for Crystal Palace. They switch out to the right-hand side here. Ahamada on the ball. Something serious for Dwight McNeil. That cutting into his kit. So I don't really know what's happened, in all honesty. And they didn't show a replay of the incident. As Palace still have the ball on halfway line with Anderson. He's tried a few longer balls recently, and I think he's going to go for another. He is a diagonal ball out to the left in the area for Eze. Headed away by Coleman. Volleyed by Harrison off the back of Mitchell. And it drops in the end for Harrison. Forward to Beto, who needs to hold this ball up. He turns forward, pokes it forward, finds Harrison. Beto goes down, and that'll be a free kick for Everton. Really well done by the Portuguese striker to win the free kick there on Mark Gay. 2 minutes of the 90. It's still 0-0 here. Like I say, the last 2 draws between these two managers have ended 0-0. As Dwight McNeil will be substituted. The man who's still being treated next to the goal on the right-hand side will be replaced by number 21, Andre Gomez, who's returning back into the Everton team after missing the start of the season with injury. He was on the bench for the first game of the Premier League, then was out until the 23rd of December against Spurs, where he got an assist in that defeat, and then started against Manchester City in the defeat at Goodison. And yeah, it looks a really serious thing. I don't know what's happened for McNeil. Obviously, there must be a reason why they're not showing it, and they're going to show it now. Or just goes over on his left ankle. I think everyone's experienced that. You know, when you're doing something and you go over on an ankle, that's what's happened. And obviously it's really hindered Dwight McNeil, and it's obviously caused him quite a bit of pain. I'm hoping it's not a broken ankle or anything. They are strapping up that left leg. Plays had to be stopped now because they're getting him on a stretcher, and obviously they don't want to have a Palace attack and they have a shot and they blast a ball into the head of a paramedic who's trying to get McNeil off the field. But we're wishing Dwight McNeil the best, and we're hoping it's nothing serious. It does look serious with that left leg in a bit of a cast there. He's just gone over his left ankle. That's what's happened. And it's all going from bad to worse here for Everton. Dwight McNeil looks okay within himself. He doesn't look like he's in excruciating pain. Which is good. What doesn't look good is the fact that his leg is the way it is. And 9 minutes have added on time. We've got 9 more minutes of this FA Cup third round fixture between Palace and Everton, which remains 0-0. We're back underway. Harrison with the volley in the box. And it's blasted over the bar. And this game has lacked quality, and that sums it up. The free kick was taken, which was won by Beto, by Virginia. It's headed on by Tarkowski, headed down by Gay, straight onto the right boot of Harrison, who volleyed over the crossbar. And it's Palace to build from the back, midway side of their own half. Remember, 9 minutes have added on time, so the clock on screen needs to reach 54 minutes, and then we've played all the additional time. That's just inside his own half here. It is with number 6, Mark Gay. Everton are down to 10 men, sending off for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, a very harsh one to say the least. It was given by Chris Kavanagh after a VAR check when he went and checked the monitor. That was in the 79th minute, so Everton have survived 12 minutes without Calvert-Lewin. And they've had to lose Dwight McNeil as well to injury. He's been replaced by Andre Gomez. Ozo here for Crystal Palace. Down the line for Mitchell. Can he keep it in on the byline? He can't. Goes out of play for a goal kick. It'll be an Everton ball. Like I said, thanks to everyone who's here and who's stuck around. And I hope I've tried to make this game sound a bit more exciting than it is. We had a 0-0 in our last commentary between West Ham and Brighton. We're looking like we're going to get another 0-0 here. Let's hope our next commentary, which you can come and check out, is Roma-Atalanta on Sunday night at 7:45. Roma-Atalanta in the Serie A. But I feel like we're really losing football with that red card. That is just ridiculous. Played 2 minutes of the added on time. Goal kick up towards Beto, who makes it stick, but he loses it eventually. Hughes forward, cut out by Onana in the Palace half. Out to the left to Mikalenko. Lifted ball forward to the edge of the area. Headed away by Anderson. Picked up by Hughes in the Palace midfield. A Hamada, who's playing out wide for Palace. Goes back to Richards in the right back position. Into the 18-yard box. It's Joachim Anderson. Plays a pass out to the left here to Gay, who dribbles forward. Everton get themselves back in a defensive shape. Eze, who's been brought down there by Andre Gomez. And that'll be a free kick about 15 yards inside the Everton half on the far side. And it looks like they're going to take their time with this one, Crystal Palace. They're going to send the big defenders forward. And Eze might launch this into the area. Eze takes it. It's a floater into the area. Headed away by Branthwaite. Volleyed by Harrison on the edge of the box. He'll chase down his own clearance. But it'll be Ozo to get there first for Palace, the central midfielder, coming off the bench. And he keeps it away from Harrison. Good midfield play there by David Ozo. They've worked out to the left. Eze away from Garner. Tackled by Gomez, but he drops back to Eze. He keeps it away from Gomez. Shifts it out to the left. Tyreek Mitchell at full back. Crosses off Garner and he'll roll through for a corner. Could this be absolute heartbreak for these travelling Everton supporters who have come down to London on a Thursday night for an FA Cup third round game? Cross goes in for Eze. Deeper one towards Anderson. Heads it backwards. Kept alive here for Palace. Through Ahamada. Edouard with the cross. Well headed away by Tarkowski. Kept forward by Anderson. Falls back to Tarkowski. Harrison to Gomez. Back across to Harrison, who won't get there ahead of Ahamada on halfway. who loses out to Gomez, pokes it back here to Garner. Out wide right to Beto. Chases it, but won't keep it in. Palace throwing inside their own half. So Palace to build from the back. We've played 4 of the 9 added on minutes. Joachim Andersen switches out to the Palace right. Great ball to Hamada, who brings it down well. In the area, on the right-hand side, goes for a cross. It comes off Mikalenko. Another corner for Palace, this time on the near side. And it looks like it'll be a right-footed outswinger from Abera Eze. Cross goes in with pace. Kicks forward by Anderson. It goes loose in the box and cleared by Anana for Everton. Up to Tyreek Mitchell on halfway. Forward and down the line towards Ozo. It's cut out by a slide tackle from Garner. Throwing for Palace on halfway on the far side. 4 minutes left to play. It's inside the Crystal Palace half here with Joachim Andersen. Squares a ball to his right to Chris Richards. On the halfway line. Back across to Andersen. Remember, Palace have got a man extra. Andersen forward. Flick by Edouard. Picked up by Coleman. He'll charge forward. He'll play it in behind. Looking for Beto. Deflects back to Coleman. He'll try it once more. It's a high ball. Beto's chasing. And he will get there in the box. He's been pulled back there by Andersen. Referee waves it away. And the ball's been taken away by Gay. And it'll be Palace to come forward again. Ahamada passes the halfway line in the centre circle. Nice ball out to the left. Finds Mitchell. Fakes the first cross. Sends it in the second time. Headed down by Branthwaite to Hughes in the area. Can he get a strike away? It's bouncing around and eventually collected by João Virginia in the Everton goal. 3 minutes left to play. Andersen there on the edge of the area. Bit of a tussle with Beto. Had a hold of him, but probably not enough for a penalty. Was giving him a little hug, though. Joachim Andersen. Beto went down a little bit easily. Mikalenko clears forward for Palace. Only as far as Gay, midway side his own area. He's got no one near him, so he can bring it down calmly. Stride forward with the ball. Find Hughes in the centre circle, who goes back to Joachim Andersen, who will bring it down. And will switch it out to the left wing. Mitchell heads it inside to Eze. He's got Coleman closest to him. Eze twisting and turning, trying to get away from the Irishman. 2 minutes left to play of the 9 added on. Mark Gay at the back for Palace. We're well inside the Everton half. Andersen to Richards on the Palace right. Finds Ahamada. Driving on the inside from the right wing. Goes across to the left to Gay. Eze. It's Edouard in the left wing position. Eze from afar. He's going to let fly. And it goes behind for a corner. He was aiming for the right side of the goal. And it was just going wide, but Virginia may not have known that, so the goalkeeper's tipped it wide. Good save from the former Portuguese under-21 goalkeeper. But it does mean that Palace have another corner. It'll be a right-footed outswinger from Eze on this near side. Plenty of bodies in there. Plenty of pace on the cross, but straight off the forehead of James Tarkowski. And Ahamada kicks out of play for an Everton throw-in. As I think these away supporters for Everton will now certainly take the draw. Despite travelling so far, I think with the circumstances of going down to 10 men away from home at Palace, I think they'll definitely take a replay now. Take them back to Everton and try and get themselves into the 4th round through a home victory. 45 seconds of added on time to play. Throwing goes to Beto. Switches out to the right-hand side to Coleman. It's a good ball. And Coleman will bring it down on the halfway line. He's got Eze chasing him. He'll play it down the right flank. Garner will chase it, but the free kick's gone against the Everton man. He was just pulling back Tyreek Mitchell. And Palace have a free kick. They take it short on the edge of the area to Joachim Andersen. To the right back, Richards. Forward to Ahamada on the right wing. They need to get it forward. They're still in their own half. 15 seconds to play. And with a man advantage, Palace have done nothing. really well seen out by Everton, who have been down to 10 men for the last 20 minutes. Gay eventually sends it forward, headed away by Mikalenko, and the referee blows for full time. A very poor and lacklustre third round FA Cup tie between Crystal Palace and Everton ends 0-0. Everton will definitely be the happier side. It's now 15 games against Everton where Roy Hodgson has failed to win, and it is now 8 games unbeaten against Crystal Palace for Sean Dyche. 4 wins and 4 draws. But it's a game that just simply lacked quality in every sense of the word. The second half took a turn when Dominic Calvert-Lewin was sent off in the 79th minute for a challenge which had his studs showing, but it was very minimal contact, and it was a very, I think, fair challenge. And I think the referee got it wrong. He was sent over to the monitor to have a look. He didn't give a red card originally, and after seeing the replays, he then gave a red card. The studs were showing. He hit the shin pad of Nathaniel Klein, but if you're any football fan, you know it was a very harsh red card, and it meant that Crystal Palace had the man advantage, but they didn't really create anything too dangerous from then until the end of the game. And after 12 shots from Palace, 13 from Everton, both had 3 on target, it has ended 0-0 here at Selhurst Park. What a bad quality game. And, people say, why are we showing these games in the FA Cup third round? Why are we televising these Premier League teams playing against each other when they already play each other twice a season, and a majority of the time at least one of them are televised? This is why. Crystal Palace, I mean, this is just my opinion, you can disagree if you want. I don't think Crystal Palace and Everton give one about the FA Cup this season. I don't think they care. If they won tonight, great. If they go on an FA Cup run, brilliant. But for these two teams, if they stay in the Premier League this season, that's what they want. I don't think they really care about the FA Cup, because they know realistically, at the end of the day, they won't win it. But for these smaller clubs who have reached the third round after, some of them would have played about 5 games already to get to the third round. They've been given an half-decent draw. Maybe some of them aren't great. And you televise this crap. Sorry, that's a strong word, but that is garbage. And, the only reason I commentated on it was, like I said, it just fit in my schedule nicely, to do the notes for the game. That's the only reason I've done it, And whichever game was televised tonight on Thursday, I would have commentated on. It was just that it was obviously Palace and Everton shown. For example, I think Tottenham-Burnley play tomorrow, Friday night. If that game was tonight, I would have been commentating on Tottenham-Burnley. It was just the game that was put on this Thursday night. But I think the FA Cup, the FA, have really got to have a rethink of their picks for televised games in the future. Stop picking these all Premier League games. And like I say, if it is an Arsenal-Liverpool, yes, televise that. That's 2 of the best teams in the country. But when it's 2 Premier League teams who are bottom half sides, who have just cancelled themselves out, and, you could have guessed that before the game it was going to be like this, it just doesn't make any sense. But thank you to everyone who did stick around and did listen to that. I'm a bit disappointed we don't get extra time or penalties to make it a bit more exciting. I don't think I'll be commentating on the replay. I'll tell you that for free. I don't think I'll be doing that. So, I'll keep my eye. I'll have a see who wins the replay. But, yeah, that's definitely 90 minutes or 100 plus minutes that I don't think any of us will be getting back, unfortunately. But thank you to everyone who did listen and did stick around. If you did enjoy, make sure you like and subscribe. Next 2 commentaries coming up. We've got Roma, Atalanta in the Serie A on Sunday at 7:45, and then we've got Wigan against Manchester United in the FA Cup third round at 8:15 on Monday. So make sure you all check out those 2 live commentaries to finish this weekend off. And then we've got plenty more commentaries coming within the month of January. We've got loads more coming. So make sure you keep checking the channel to make sure that you see which live commentaries are going to be scheduled. Like I say, we've got 2 more coming this weekend, and then we've got loads within the month of January. But for tonight, in the FA Cup third round, Palace and Everton met, and they cancelled each other out. Calvert-Lewin was sent off in the 79th minute for a very harsh red card, but even with a man extra, Palace couldn't do anything to threat the Everton goal. And it's Selhurst Park here at full time. In the FA Cup third round, it's Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0.